Welcome to another episode of National Board Conversations, where we spotlight incredible educators. I'm your host, Edward Santiago. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with Noraa Ransey, a National Board Certified teacher with over 20 years of experience in the classroom. Noraa is a passionate advocate for public education, a champion for diversity and inclusion, and a true inspiration for her students and colleagues.
So honestly, I never thought of myself as being a possibility for national board certification, just like I never saw myself as a teacher in my early days, even though I knew at 5 that's what I wanted to do.
Noraa's dedication to her students and profession has earned her numerous accolades, including Teacher of the Year and Kentucky Valvoline Teacher Achievement Award. She's also been actively involved in professional development, mentoring aspiring educators, and serving on various boards and committees. Join us as we delve into Noraa's journey as an educator, her insights on the challenges and rewards of teaching, and how she currently impacts the education world. I won't hold you much longer. Here's my conversation with Noraa. Noraa Ransey, thank you for joining me on the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing well. It's Friday that we're recording, so it's exciting that the weekend is coming up.
Yes, always.
Let's get right into it. Can you give us a brief intro of yourself and your current role?
Sure, absolutely. First of all, thanks for having me. I'm always excited to be invited to anything National Board, but I am a National Board Certified teacher in the area of literacy, and I'm currently teaching year 20 in first grade at North Callaway Elementary in Murray, Kentucky. For me, teaching was my dream job, and here I am living my dream.
Year 20, that's really awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so
really fast. It doesn't seem like I've been doing it this long, honestly.
Like time just goes. I was just yeah. So what are your 3 favorite foods?
So I decided I had a rich palate, but it was easy for me. Definitely asparagus. I had some last night, and prime rib. I love when a restaurant has a prime rib special. And last, I didn't know if I could say this or not, but I'm adding it anyway. Sangria. I like going to different
Why not?
And trying there's always some kind of sangria blend on the menu, and it's always good. So
okay, we love it. What are 3 songs that shaped you?
I thought really hard about this one because I love music so much. Honestly, music was a big part of my childhood. I was in choir and band, and it's where I just naturally fit in. But I went back and kind of related it to teaching. Okay. And so on repeat, I played this song by Fantasia, I Believe, all the way to my teacher interview. I left managing Arby's to go to this interview, and I really didn't think I was going to become a teacher. So I just played it and listened to every word, and it was successful because I'm still there now. And then another one, it's related to education too, but you really could relate it to a lot of other things, is Mariah Carey's Hero. I really believe that all teachers are heroes. And if that one comes on, it's all the way up and I'm singing very loudly. Lately, my palette has been for Taylor Swift. If you're not a Swiftie, I'm sorry, but I'm really not. And I have a shirt on right now, Who's Afraid of Little Old Me? And specifically, I wanted to say that one because we are fighting for education on our ballot here in Kentucky. We have a voucher amendment coming up that would directly affect our public schools. And I channel her when I'm speaking to groups and when I'm trying to make sure everybody knows how important it is and what it would do to public education. So I channel Taylor Swift on some of the hard days because it's not for the weary.
No, she has powerful music and is very moving with a lot of her words she puts out there. So it's really cool, really cool. Mm-hmm. The one sports team that has your heart, and if you're not a sports fan, a movie you can recite line for line.
So honestly, the only sports I see are those that my own kids and my school kids invite me to. I'm not a sport girl. I never have been, but I love movies. And this is probably going to sound cheesy too, but the one that's always at the top of my list is Beauty and the Beast. And I really thought, why do I always go back to Beauty and the Beast? And it's really simple. If you've seen it, the library, the books.
That's a beautiful library for
who doesn't want a fairy tale ending? So it has all the things.
That's a very beautiful library. Just you get lost in that thing. Mm-hmm. All right. So what are some hobbies you have outside of being involved with your school and community?
That one was hard for me to answer too. But number one on the list would be traveling. But honestly, most of the traveling I get to do is because I'm doing something educational, like going to Washington, D.C. for National Board or NEA or some of these other adventures that I go on. But I've made it a habit to go at least a day early or stay a day late and do something that I've not done before, like see the monument or go to a museum. So I love traveling. I spend time with my 5 kids, 4 of who are grown and college age. One's about to be a teacher in December. And then I have a 4th grader who keeps me pretty busy. And most recently, I've been upgraded to nanny and a 2-month-old Viola. So I'm on grandma status now.
Oh man, time is flying, like you were saying.
Yes, definitely.
All right, so you touched on it a little bit earlier. You left Arby's. You left being a manager at Arby's to get into education, and it was always your dream.
Yeah.
So why do you? I guess that's why you remain connected. But what pushed you, like, other than like it being your dream? What keeps you connected to being in education?
So for me, it's not a unique story. It's honestly becoming more common, but my life was changed because of an educator. I was 15. I was on my own. I worked 3 jobs, one of them managing the entire store of Arby's. And I was destined to work in local factories like my whole family before me. We grew up in trailer parks. We had SNAP benefits and all the things. But my sophomore year, I had an English teacher that called me after class, and I was sure I was in trouble. I was like, what could I have possibly done? But she pulled me aside and had my journal sitting there, and she's like, "You write like a college kid. Why are you in my class?" And I'm just looking at her like, "I don't know. That's what they signed me up for." But that was honestly the first time I ever heard my name in college in the same sentence. It hadn't even occurred to me that was an option. But she worked really hard with me. She got me in a program called Upward Bound that I'm still passionate about today. She got me on the college path, and the rest is history. Because 20 years later, here I am, like I said already, living my dream life in a classroom.
So to that point, what were you like as a student, and how does that influence you as a teacher?
This one is probably going to sound like an awkward answer too, but it's honest. As a student, I tried my best to have the power of invisibility. And what I mean by that, I was the oldest of three daughters, and in a single parent home, and that home included a parent that suffered with addiction. So I grew up really quickly being the oldest. And for me, school was my safe place. It was my consistent place. School was where I could do my best to just be normal if there was any normal in my life. And as a teacher, I remember that with each kid that I meet. Each has a story that they don't always share with you, and they deserve a positive experience. And I spend a couple weeks at the beginning of every year just building relationships with my students and building a family within my classroom, because I learned quickly I cannot control things that are going to happen to my students outside of the school, because some terrible things happen at times.
Hard to remember that school really is a safe space for a lot of these students, right? Like their home lives are usually not, they're not usually, but sometimes not the greatest. And so being able to come to school and learn something and hang out with their friends is a place for them to be, like you said, normal, almost invisible in a way,
Yeah.
right? Just the average kid. So what do you enjoy most about being a teacher?
Oh, there's so many things that I could list, but honestly, I love when the struggles turn into successes. I've taught a lot, 12 years in 3rd grade, and I saw it even there, but more specifically in 1st grade, I'm teaching kids how to read. And that's something that's going to affect the rest of their life. And it's not an easy process. It doesn't happen overnight. They don't always come to you with a good foundation, setting them up for reading. But once that struggle turns into success and you see how proud they are of their life, that's an instant happiness. But once they're mine at the end of every year, every student and every family I've had knows that once you're in Team Ransey, you're Team Ransey for life. And I've been around long enough now that I've seen them grow up and become careers that I knew they were going to be when I met them when they were little in my classroom. And I have had some parents bring their kids back to me, and it's really quite magical, a process like that, where you get to see not only what you can do in a year or a month or 9 weeks, but when you see them grow up to be that human that you hope they do become.
No, and so you're national board certified, rockstar educator. You pursue, what pushed you to pursue? What was your journey like, and did you achieve on your first try?
So honestly, I never thought of myself as being a possibility for national board certification. Just like I never saw myself as a teacher in my early days, even though I knew at 5 that's what I wanted to do. But I had a mentor. Her name is Holly Bloodworth, and quite a few times I would come and do a presentation for her or something like that, and she would tell me every time, "Why don't you consider certifying?" And I just didn't. It just wasn't on my radar. So I started a rank 1 in library. I thought maybe that would be something I would enjoy, but 2 or 3 classes in, I decided this is not what I wanted for my future. And I had a teammate who said, I'm going to try national board. You should do it with me." So we decided to try, and we did it together.
And so, what was a coaching conversation you had or some advice you received that was most helpful to you?
So going through the process with that same friend, I've held on to this quote: comparison is the thief of joy. And here's why. My teammate received high marks, like fours, and she even had like some 4.2s or 4.5s. I didn't even know that was a possibility for her score on every single entry that she submitted. And we were submitting and sharing together. And I worked really hard, but I never came close to her level of scoring. And I honestly got nervous that I wouldn't certify when I saw hers and I compared it to mine, and I thought I'm not working hard enough. And I just realized that she's working on a completely different area. She was working on middle child generalist, and she was naturally an amazing writer. So that was just a talent for her. And that was something that I struggled with. It was really hard for me to write about myself. It just didn't seem natural to me. It didn't seem authentic to say, look at me and I'm national board certified, because that was a whole process for me. I had to train myself how to do that. But in the end, we both certified, and in the end, our journey was different, and everybody's journey is just different in their own.
And you made it. You're national board
Yeah.
certified, and you've done a lot of leadership and all these things.
Yeah.
So how has national board certification opened up new opportunities for leadership and mentorship within?
From the beginning, I went through the new process, and I think that was part of it, because everybody was like, what's this new process like? We need somebody who has done it to be on our committee. So I was invited to state committees and local committees right away to be just a mentor and just to explain what the new process was like. And later, was able to join initiatives like NAME and the Kentucky Department of Education. Most recently, we worked on early career educators certifying, and a lot of the work I did was around teachers of color overcoming barriers, because I do fall in that category. And when I saw that 12% of national board certified teachers are teachers of color, it became a passion for me. And I really think part of my struggle was just being able to write and overcoming some other barriers that I just need a little bit of mentorship now. So I try to do that and give back. I've also been blessed to serve on the national level. National board included me in the DEI committees, and most recently the What Book revisions. So I've found myself at tables locally, at the state, and nationally. And honestly, every single time, it's just unbelievable that I'm even sitting there.
So you talked about it. You're on the What Book Revision Committee. What was your role in helping with the revisions?
So, again, surprisingly, they made me the chair of that committee. And I had been through a couple committees before that directly related to this around DEI. So they did know me, and they did know who they were getting. But I think it's important for me to stress and just put this in the space, that all of these committees are made up of of educators with an expertise like me. My expertise was the classroom teacher in a Title I school in Kentucky, but the whole committee was full of educators with different expertise that made this work done with fidelity by teachers for teachers.
So can you describe what analyst? So we had the public comment period. Can you describe what analyzing the public feedback and incorporating that into the final text?
Yes. So every comment, suggestion, question was looked at multiple times. We did some in small group, we did some in large group. We came together and looked at them all again. And if there was somebody thought we need to relook at, we did. And it was so important because it made the document stronger. It was important that the readers reading what we put forth were getting what we were hoping they were getting. We had to go through that feedback and use it. It was a very valuable part of the process to make sure that the final result was what we were intending to put out.
So what were some of the most significant challenges y'all faced during the stretch during the couple of meetings y'all had?
So anytime you bring a group together, there's going to be challenges. But for me, I would say it was just having to come to consensus on everything. I mean, we truly met consensus before we moved on each phase. And that can be tough because there's a lot of different people in the room. But also in the challenge, in the conversation, in the document, it was made stronger. And I believe personally, it is the best it can be. And just like life, we're going to have difficult questions, difficult challenges, difficult situations, but it makes us better. And we were able to do this together, and with lots of conversations and breaks, and then coming back to it, we were able to reach consensus and move the work forward.
That's awesome. And so, how were you guys able to ensure inclusion and unbiasedness in the What Book?
That was the number one priority for all of us. And from the beginning, we were guided by charges of the DEI committees that did work before us in standards. And we had these guides in front of us. My co-chair was Tracy Krause, the superintendent, and he was really good about focusing us with norms. And he always brought it within the norms, brought us back to those documents and these charges that were put before us that were what we were purposely looking at the web book for. So it was a part of every piece, every meeting, every Zoom, every email.
It sounds like it was a very intense process the whole way.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right, so now we're going to get into some teacher recruitment, try to get some people to take a step into in the next step in their careers. So if you had to sell the education profession to someone looking to get into it in 1 to 2 minutes, what would you use as your elevator pitch?
So somewhere along the way, why teach became kind of cliche. So I like to say, why not teach? If you love kids, if you love seeing a young life changed, being a teacher, you get to lead a whole tiny tribe of future leaders. Teaching, if that's you, then teaching is for you. I have 1 year to be a small piece of each of my students and their family's life, but that year often extends to years of staying in communication with them and seeing their success. And teachers change lives every single day and don't even realize they're doing it. I'm living proof that this is true. Who would have thought that a little girl from the trailer parks of Murray, Kentucky would grow up to hold titles like Teacher of the Year and an NBC champion? But my sophomore English teacher, Linda DeVos, I just put her name in the room, and she hates when I do that. She believed in me, and here I am still trying to do the same for each student that I teach. One of my favorite memories in adulthood was when I received national board certification. That same teacher was one of the first ones who heard about it, and she sent me flowers to school that day. And I opened it up, and it was from Miss DeVos, my sophomore English teacher, who even got me on this track. And she still, after retirement, is still vested in her students that she had in her classroom all those years before.
Man, that's an amazing story. That's awesome for
Yeah.
All right, so we have a feature on the podcast called the Shoulder Tap. It's when you give somebody a shout out and let them know they're ready to become National Board Certified. So, Nora, who are you shoulder tapping today?
So they've heard it from me in person, but I'm putting it out here on the live feed, and we're going to send it to them. But definitely my teammates. I could not be the teacher I am today without my team. Holly Randolph, Morgan Steele, Jessica Rojas, and Aaron Tubbs. We are a first grade tribe that works together in so many ways, and I see it in them every day. They're already NBCTs. They just need to go through the process. And I have to add anyone who never thought they could be an NBCT, because that was me. I can truly say it's been one of the life-changing experiences for me. Before that, I had logged 1,000 hours or more of PD, and this by far was the best PD I've ever done. And if I could go back and do it sooner, I did it in year 10, 11, and 12. I definitely would do it sooner, because if you're listening to this and thinking about it, just reach out to me. Ask me all the questions. I will happily support you on your journey.
Oh, we love it. We love it. Noraa Ransey, thank you for joining me on the podcast.
Thank you.
I want to say thank you to Noraa Ransey for joining me today and sharing her incredible story. Her passion for education and her dedication to her students are truly inspiring. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to National Board Conversations on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review. We'd love to hear your feedback. Remember to check out our show notes for links to Nora's work and the organization she's involved with. Until next time, stay inspired and keep striving for excellence in education. Thank you for listening, and see you on the next episode.